right there. And as people see that approaching, it's always like, well, I guess computers won't get any faster, will they? But wouldn't you know it, new inventions come up. And he compared this to the old computer days with vacuum tubes, and they're like, wow, we can't fit any more vacuum tubes into this one room. Remember when the computer would take up the whole room? And wouldn't you know, somebody invented the transistors and all that fun stuff. And we just keep, eventually we'll reach the limit of what a copper wire can handle. So I don't know, either we'll have to go to some kind of fiber optic system, or there are always more advances coming every day. So that's how that works. Time marches on. But anyway, this guy dealing with artificial intelligence is saying that no matter what the wall or the limit or the obstacle, we always invent something new. And we have been keeping pace with, it's like the whole Moore's Law thing. And he said that by the year 2029, about that time, computers will be able to have pretty much the same intelligence as a human being, which, if you look around, I mean, I guess it's not actually that hard. Some human beings don't really have that much intelligence. I guess nothing against them. There's no problem, really. I guess the real issue is people that are jerks, because you can be the smartest person on earth, and if you're a jerk, too bad. I don't like you. You know how that goes? All right. Well, maybe I'll just duck out of here early if no one's going to show up. I mean, I guess I could, check my email or something. May as well make this time productive. Oh, look. My wife's sculptures. I love these Facebook friends. Yeah, let's check out the latest on Facebook here, okay? We have, oh, look at my latest YouTube video. Look at these photos I found on the internet. I'm going on a trip. I'm talking about a TV show that's on right now. Look at my pet. There you go. Ah, my sports team didn't win. Read my book. It's pretty much how the Facebook feed goes. Some days there's a slow news day out there, not really that much to talk about. Well, it's like that on Facebook. Sometimes you're reading through and you're like, yeah, nothing that interesting going on. But once in a while, something interesting does happen. And, someone has a baby, or life-changing disabilities occur, or something like that, it's fun to keep up on my friends, but some days it's like, well, whatever. Speaking of which, still not that much going on. I guess I'll check my email or something. We'll do that. I could get a video ready. We can actually roll a video tonight. Because it hasn't been a total loss. I've been fairly busy at work, but I've had to watch so many training videos lately that I sort of made a parody of them. And I think it's kind of fun. Don't tell the boss, but it's pretty funny. Oh, look, one person showed up. I'm looking at my watch, waiting for him to tune out. Oh, you're still here? Well, would you like me to start the show for you? I can do that. It's like a low-budget movie theater here. If just one person shows up, we'll roll it. I've got my finger on the button here, man. You just say the word. I'll start the show for you, the meter man. He's still here. I feel like I should be performing or something now. Oh, okay, here we go. Hey, how's it going? All right, he says hello. All right, well, I'll take that as a start the show. Here we go.
It's the Truesdale Show Live, featuring Derek W. Truesdale. And now coming to you direct from one loser's basement to another, Derek W. Truesdale.
That's right. Ooh, click the wrong button. Here I am, Derek W. Truesdale. It's Nerd Day Thursday, where lately I've been bumping Nerd Night onto just Thursdays, where we just kind of talk about geeky nerd stuff for a while. And I'm falling behind on the podcast, so I need to edit what I've already recorded before I put out a new one. But that's okay. I may just end up slowing down the pace on the show, which is fine, because on one hand, I don't want to get totally out of the swing of things of making videos. I want to be producing content on a regular basis. On the other hand, if I don't have the time, I don't have the time. So, maybe I'll just go bi-weekly for that or something. Because I don't want it to be too light and too cheesy. But on the other hand, I don't expect perfection. So we'll try to find a balance somewhere in between. Welcome to the show, guys. Great to have you with us here. Like I said, Nerd Day Thursday, where we talk about anything nerdy. It's been really busy here with, well, not necessarily the Truesdale Show, but the rest of my life. And I was just saying to my imaginary viewers that I've watched like so many training videos lately at this job that I'm at that I actually made a parody of them. And I'll see if I can, maybe I'll put that into the show today, as long as my boss isn't watching, But nobody watches. That's the beauty of this. Let me pull up this folder here, and let's see if I can get started on that, actually. Because I think I actually have an MKV here. Yeah, good. All right, so I'll make a new folder. I'm sure this is very exciting for you viewers. But hey, this is what it's going to take to get the thing on the show in the proper aspect ratio, and it's a detailed process. All right, so we've got that. We're going to take our file. Oh man, I might have to use media info for this or something. I'm gonna have to convert that really before I do that. So hey, let's not do that live on the show. That would get kind of tedious. Anyhow, welcome guys. Anything nerdy? Hey, I have a surprise for you. My lovely wife, who's it's always fascinating to me when people who aren't super geeks sort of get into technology a little bit. I mean, I take my mom, for example. She uses email. I see her on Facebook, and she doesn't have a home phone. I know we've discussed that on previous shows, how the landline is sort of becoming outdated. And it's always interesting to me to see people who, like 10 years ago, you wouldn't have thought that they were into any of this stuff. But technology is becoming the way of the world. I mean, we just had some so-called viral video about, it was like two babies talking to each other. It became really popular. And, I mean, 3 years ago, let's say, on YouTube, it'd be like maybe you'd hear about this YouTube video from a couple of your friends. Big deal. But I'll be talking to people out there in the real world as opposed to like this matrix geek world of the internet. And they'll be talking about these videos. On CNN, they were talking about this talking baby video. And one of my customers at work was like, oh, did you see that video? It's like, my goodness, the internet, it's like everywhere. I guess it's not a fad. These things always catch on. But my wife recently got a smartphone. which is kind of cool. But the weird thing about it is it's a Windows phone, you know, the new Windows Phone 7, which is sort of, it's kind of a beta, you know, first version kind of product where they're hopefully getting out the bugs soon. Although it is Windows, I know any Mac people are going to take a quick shot at that. It's actually kind of a cool phone. And the reason she got it is because she wanted the touch screen with like the real internet on it, not just like the BlackBerry click, 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 click. You know, the page moves a little at a time, and you're like, I wish I could just get this to move. But it also has the flip out keyboard with it, you know, where she can type, because she's one of the few people in the world. She actually got a smartphone for business, you know, and typing messages, not just for screwing around all day. And, you know, I never would have thought when Windows Phone came out, Windows Phone 7, not to be confused with the horrible things by the name of Windows Phone in the past that are just notorious for being just lousy phones. Windows Phone 7 actually shows some promise, and I've sort of heard about it in the news. I never would have thought that someone like my wife would get that, but now she's got it, and it's just kind of cool. I mean, sometimes Sam says, excuse me while I whip out my keyboard. That's a cool thing. Do you guys have maybe your relatives? Have you ever met someone that surprises you that they're into technology? Because I know it's a stereotype, but sometimes if you're talking to someone like 55, 60 years old or older, you kind of assume, they're not going to get any of this stuff. But you'd be surprised. I mean, I've talked to some older people who, I mean, they can talk your ear off about progressive scan players, and I was impressed. There was this one lady where I was trying to explain to her how to work her TV and all that. It's part of the requirements of what I do. And then she had this thing down. She's like, and this was a lady, she had to be like at least 80, okay? Very nice lady, but she's like, if I want to watch a DVD, I go here, and I take this remote, and I make sure the TV's on input 3, and for the TV thing, I put it on input 2, and like she knew all this stuff by heart. I mean, and she had like a Kindle, you know, the ebook reader and stuff, and it really is surprising. And man, that there's always the one person who's like the test for me of what the kind of technology normal people are into. For me, it's like if my mom has something, it's really mainstream, and it's finally caught on. You know, my mom got an email address in the 2000s, you know, maybe the early 2000s or so. And at that point, I'm like, okay, email, it's pretty big. It's starting to catch on. Because I'm sure some of you guys can remember when the internet was just for nerds. And it used to be I mean, literally, the people who designed the internet, it used to be like these, almost like this priesthood. And I say that like in the biblical sense, where like only certain people were allowed into the temple or you would be killed or something. It was like these guys in white lab coats, like, hey, let's walk into the computer room, you know, the room that actually is a computer, the whole thing. And that's what the internet was for, like this scholarly research stuff. And, you know, the DNS servers on the internet, whenever you go to a website, it's sort of like DNS is like the internet phone book, and it looks up the actual IP address that you're dialing. Well, those DNS records used to be just stored locally because there were like so few websites that like you wouldn't have to dial out and figure out, what's the IP address for whatever.com. I mean, it was so small, it would all fit in one place. That's how the internet used to be. And man, who was it? I believe it was a sci-fi author who said any sufficiently advanced technology should be indistinguishable from magic, which is, imagine if you took like an iPod or a DVD player and of course